My life is a gift. I was born in September of 1969 in the Splatsin band of the Secwepemc Nation to a young First Nations girl. And I say girl because my mother was barely 17 years old when I was born. She put me up for adoption shortly after my birth, and I was spared from the foster care system. A system that has failed so many children, including many Indigenous children. This is something that I don't take lightly. This is something that I remind myself on a daily basis, and this is something that drives me in my life and in my work every single day. My life is a gift.
In 2015, I was organizing a fundraiser for an amazing woman, an independent filmmaker by the name of Deanne Whalen.
Well, at the end of the evening, she gifted me with this paddle.
Apt gift for Charlene, because she's literally helping me paddle my way across this country by putting on this event. So, wow, Charlene, I'm blown away by your kindness and by your support. And on behalf of all these women that you've brought here tonight, please accept this gift.
When she gave it to me, this flood of emotion, so strong and so powerful, came over me from a place that I have never experienced before, that I felt this intense connection, and I almost wanted to start sobbing. You see, this gift was my calling from my ancestors. Before that time, I had no connection. I had no knowing. I've known since I was 4 years old that I was adopted. I've only known for the last 3 years that I am Indigenous.
Between approximately 1951 and 1984, an estimated 20,000 or more First Nations, Métis, and Inuit infants and children were taken from their families by child welfare authorities and placed for adoption in mostly non-Indigenous households. This mass removal of Indigenous children from their homes, supported by a series of government policies, became known as the 60s Scoop.
This gift was a reminder to turn up and tune into my own true greatness and why I'm here in this lifetime.
After receiving the paddle and the promptings of my ancestors, I set out on a reconnection journey. I jokingly say it took $50, Facebook, and a whole pile of government forms. The honest answer is it took a 3-year process, a lot of emotions, a lot of work and patience to prove my status as an Indigenous woman. Early in my coming home journey, I was introduced to Wenecwtsin, the former 7-term chief of my nation, by a mutual friend. The first time we met online, he kept saying over and over to me, "I'm so proud of you." The story we're creating together is about healing, not only healing for ourselves, but for our families. So when we went to meet Chief Wayne in person for the first time, I brought along my stepdaughter, Willow. The two of us and our cinematographer, Madeline Archibald, began a documentation of this journey, where it all started and where we hope it will go in terms of inspiring and supporting others on their journey to healing and wholeness as we return home.
Wayne and he is someone that I really admire, but he's also someone who is new in my life, at least in physical form. But I think on the spiritual side of things, we've been connected for a very long time. Today is the first time we're meeting in person. Yeah. Ready to roll?
How excited are you? You here?
Yes.
Every conversation we have, I hold so dear to my heart. I don't have a lot of connections with Indigenous males. It's a missing piece in my life, and I realize how much my soul has craved this. I value our friendship so much.
Wenecwtsin, Wenecwtsin. My Indian name is Big Voice That Speaks the Truth. It comes from my great-great-grandfather. I also have 2 other Wenecwtsin Indian names that have been given to me. The first one is Kahumtuk, and it comes from the Nuu-chah-nulth people. The late hereditary chief Jerry Jack gave that to me. The translation is "He who is noticed for the good things that he does." The other Wenecwtsin that I have is been given to me by one of the Kias here in the community, the late Lena Bell. The name that she gave to me is called Red Feet, and the translation of that is he who walks in the pain of the people, because in her visioning and what she saw and what she was told, as a man, I've been walking in the pain of our people, and my feet were red with blood. My English name is Wenecwtsin. I'm a former Pukpi and tribal chief. The names that I carry, it's about helping the people. Those names connect me to the land. You know, and we talk about coming home. That was really one of the moments of really coming home. At that moment, I was given that name, Wenecwtsin, and it connected me just instantly. It's like, whoa. After all the struggles I've been through and all the things that have happened, it was one of those moments in my life that I felt reconnected, you know. It was powerful. When we started the Indian Child Caravan, the thing was getting people involved. And what I remember when we left our community going to Nisconnet were the number of children and grandparents that were with us. That's what I really remember was the children and how supported they were by their parents and the grandparents. And it was like all parts of our community. It wasn't just one family, it was all the families because we've been so devastated by the 60s scoop. To really understand this, in 1979, I was elected chief, and then a young mother came to me. Her boys were going to be removed from her home. And around our council table, we began to have the discussion about children, being put into care. And each one of us at the table were former children in care. Mm. And so then we started to do some research, and of our community of 350 approximately, we had over 100 children removed. So every family in our community had been affected by the child welfare system, child welfare removal system. It started for me long in the 60s, actually, when I was scooped up into foster care. And because of the pain that I had, and I walked their pain, I kind of knew what they've been through. And so I just became that voice for them. In 1980, October of 1980, we organized the Indian Child Caravan, and to do it in such a public way, the minister at that time, Grace McCarthy, and she was the deputy premier, but she was also the Minister of Human Resources for the families. Right. And so she's the one that we targeted because she was the one that made the decisions. Mm. And that's what the Indian Child Caravan was all about, organizing our people at the community level to do four things. First, recognition of our jurisdiction, return of our children, jointly plan for those children in care, and the fourth thing is we would go to the federal government for resources. If I would understand the residential school at that time, I probably would have helped that process more, but people weren't prepared to even talk about it. It was so horrific for them because it wasn't that far off for them. So I think that is why they poured their anger and passion into the children as a way. It gave them that energy to sharpen that point of the spear, that arrow, to do something. That's what their rage and anger did. And they channeled it in such a way that it helped the next generation.
The story that really intrigues me, and the story that I didn't know, I didn't realize when I was 11 years old that there was a caravan that was basically walking in front of my front door, being led by a young chief with small kids of his own, in order to fight for the rights of Indigenous communities to have their own decisions about their children.
More than 150 children were taken from Splatsin between 1960 and 1980 during the 60s scoop. This was a significant portion of the population of my home nation, leaving behind just 300 people in the community at that time.
I don't know if you've ever driven through Enderby. It's pretty small. And that left the population with 300 people. Try building a thriving community with 300 people. And that's when the caravan began. And I was about 7 miles away, probably watching Sesame Street or something. I don't know, So I just find it a fascinating story. And that's where the story began. And we just kept pulling that thread. And here we are all these years later.
This comes from the children of Shahia, or Morning Dove, a school we started in that must have been 1987 when I first elected chief, and these are the students. And this was, when I stepped down as chief in 87, the children put this together for me, so you can just sort of leaf through it and see some of the things they said about myself as chief and what they were thinking. And again, they're all adults now, right? So it's just amazing what they were thinking as children.
Was this the first class, 1987?
Probably.
Wow.
It's been operating ever since. So you can see their words and their visuals, what they put together.
Are you going to have a vacation?
Yeah.
Are you? What was this, 87?
87. That's right, yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
They say things like, you gave us a leadership model for the future. Right? That's the kind of stuff they're telling me. Because the other things we did is we sponsored First Nations Youth Hockey Tournament, one of the first in British Columbia, and did that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that was always, again, doing things for the children, right? So. The Sundance is a ceremony, 4 days. You fast and you don't eat and you dance. You basically sacrifice yourself. Yeah. And I always say I was offering myself up to the Creator and to the spirits. And what happened on that mountain on my third year and the third day, I'll never, ever, ever forget. Because I went down, literally, I was actually passing over to the other side, and Marlene, my partner, and the Sundance chief, Rod Toma, were physically trying to bring me back. But at the same time they were doing that, these children came. And it was hard to explain, but it was like all their little hands all over my body were just fluttering. And they were calling me back. They said, we need you. We need you to help us. We need you. We need you back. And so they called me back, and these were children from long ago that I never knew, children today, and those not yet born. And I kept asking, how do you know me? How do you know me?
For me, like, I know the language, and I understood we have a word for stop, and that means tla. And then from there, I understood what the word tlel is, death and dying. I understood because I looked at you and you were down. In our Sundance, the protocols, we were not supposed to touch each other because we are in that spirit world. And then when you went down, you were laying there. Then literally, our word is tlel, and I could see your color changing right from the top of your head all the way down. It got almost to your heart, and I knew you were going to transition to that other world. So I just took my hand, my fist like this, and then I just hit you. I hit you on the heart, and then I started doing CPR. And that's when I literally felt those little feathers. They start with like little birds, and they were coming like this. And it was like they were crossing this way, and then this way. And when I was pushing and counting, these little hands, the birds, they turned into little kids' hands, and they were going on me, and they were encouraging me to keep going, keep. And I was praying really hard to bring you back because I didn't think that your job here was done.
Even the protocol was not to touch you. Thought, no, I got to do this. And then those little ones helped you, because you were doing the right thing. And what can I say? Thank you.
Well,
I remember I was giving you a heck for hitting me.
That's when you woke up or you got up and you said, what did you do that for? I heard.
saved my life, Marlene. You saved my life. Thank you.
Wasn't your time yet.
Oh, it's interesting for me. It's 7 years later, and those little ones showed, eh?
Yeah.
So. The children that revealed themselves into Kamloops, the 215 plus, when they revealed themselves to the world, I then understood. And it really is about those children helping us heal ourselves, helping heal all those things that have happened. They're there now, and people have to address those ugly truths, not only with the Canada and the system, but also within ourselves. You know, the healing within.
In May of 2021, the remains of 215 children were uncovered at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School, which was run originally by the Catholic Church until it was taken over by the federal government in the late 1960s. The Tecumloops to Secwepemc community, located in the southern interior of British Columbia where the school was located, released a statement saying an unthinkable loss that was spoken about but never documented was confirmed. In an interview with CNN, Carolyn Bennett, Canada's Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, says, "This revelation speaks to all Canadians about a very painful truth and a horrific chapter in Canadian history."
As I move on in my life, and I think about, you go back, you look backwards, right? And okay, that's at least that's what I've been doing. And I think about, again, my mother. I think about how much she endured through through law. It was the legal sort of system, right? What I call legislative genocide. She went to Kamloops. She was one of the children that survived that place. And I think about that and how far from that time to now that we're now having a conversation where our people weren't believed these events happened. And so even our own people don't believe, because a lot of the people that have went through those things are no longer here. My mom's no longer here. So I think about that as a child, what she had to endure, and because I think of when I was a child and the things that I went through, and I think, well, she wasn't even connected to her family. She was put in this institution, a jail, right? And how she survived that, and she warriored up and made it through so I could be here today. I think about that, because without her doing that, I wouldn't be here, you know, and without her doing what she did, my son, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they wouldn't be here. And so that's the legacy of my mom, you know, my blood. And I think that it'll go on for a lot longer, because and I think the determination of our people and the ability to move beyond what's happened to us. And I think that's it's not so much resiliency, it's just who we are. My mom passed away at a young age from cancer. It was treatable cancer because the system discriminated and was racist towards her. You know, and the system's still racist today. So I just think about that, you know, and I think about, I spent a lot of time with my mom when she was still on this earth. Yeah, I miss her. There's her quietness, her power. She was just a powerful, quiet woman. She had lots of strength. You know, people, they think you have to be loud and say all these things. But she was a quiet leader. So that's what I think about. So the words I say, the things that I do, I credit my mom for giving me this life so I could do this work. You know, so I can do what needs to be done. So that her grandchildren, great-grandchildren don't have to suffer as she suffered as a child. Because they haven't and they won't. Healing has begun. And thanks, Mo. Bring yourself to that point of slowing down, and that's what ceremony does. It slows you down and connects you. When we do different ceremonies, whether it's a sweat lodge, whether it's fasting, whether it's smudging, whether it's singing, you slow things down so people can connect.
Coming home to me has been a journey of reconnection to my ancestors, slow and steady reconnection to my community, to the land. But more than anything, coming home has been a deeper connection to my whole self, answering the question of why are we here? Why am I here? We come home to heal. And in that process of healing, we return to the part of ourselves that we've forgotten. We come home to all of who we are, to our whole selves.
Ceremony to me is a ritual. It's a consistent practice. And for me, it gives me the opportunity to pull myself out of my life, to observe my life, and to remember why I'm here. So through ceremony, I try to connect with all of my senses. And in that and through that, I'm reconnecting to my whole self, which is my spirit self. And I do that through a number of different ways. Today, because we have the gift of this beautiful day in this amazing environment, with living beings around us, trees, fresh air, water, ducks, little creatures. I'm gonna spend some time sitting, meditating, gratitude, journaling, and just breathing into the day and setting intentions for how I want the day to play out in co-creation with my ancestors, with my spirit guides, and with the people that I'm lucky enough to live, work, and play with. So here we are again in the Splatsin Nation on our way to Mabel Lake, and we're here 4 months later, particularly deliberately choosing to come just before Thanksgiving because this is the weekend in 1980 that the Indian Child Caravan started. So we wanted to return to this place at this time and just be on this land, holding that intention of for the children, and just listen to what is here for us. Yeah, what's here for us now. How does the story want to continue to unfold? And I think you have to return to where the story started to find those next pieces. And that's why we're here 4 months later. And now it's fall and the colors are turning, and it's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, you owned a horse before I did. I was a little jealous.
What do you remember from my early years? Because I don't have a lot of memories from when I was a kid.
Well, you were just an ordinary kid. You liked to play and hang out with us. I remember there's pictures of us all sitting on the lawn with you.
Mm-hmm.
Dad had a lot rented at the head of Okanagan Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go there and go swimming. Uncle Harold had built a little wharf out, far out of the bend. And I would take us all in the truck, and we'd all drive down there and go swimming, and Mom and Dad would stay home. Remember one time we're all kind of playing around in the water, and there's Charlene, and I couldn't see anywhere, and so I went out on the dock to see if I could get a better look, and there you were in the water, and you didn't know how to swim, and so you weren't very old, and you weren't panicking either, and you had walked into the water, I guess, and you got deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you couldn't get out.
Uh-oh.
And you were over your head, and you'd go down, hit the bottom, and push yourself back up, and you were just bobbing farther and farther out.
Oh no.
And so I just reached in and grabbed you and hauled you out. Probably gave you shit, but you came straight from the hospital to our place, and I can't remember how long we had you before they canceled the foster care program, or the permanent foster care program, and we're going to put you up for adoption. And then I remember sitting around the table with Mom and Dad and all of us kids saying, yeah, we got to adopt her. She's our sister.
Mm. So this is the little house that I grew up in. And to be really honest, it doesn't look that different. And this is the school. That's something. There's Jerry. I don't know if he knows it's me, but. This is important to me in terms of healing for myself and my family, and also to model the type of healing that I feel is needed by leaders and change makers and founders in the world today. It's just where we're at.
It's just where we're at in the world. I think it's very fitting that we're back here tonight on the next leg of our journey, because we are on a journey together. It's a healing journey. That's what I'm learning, individually and collectively.
And part of what our journey here, Shar and I, is about our journey and our personal journey of how we sort of came together to create this path forward. Because you have to remember, all of these elders, we were all children at one time. And that's what this is called, for the children. And so it's important you understand that. You see them as adults today, but they were children when they were taken into those institutions. In our language, there's two Secwepemc words that describe what we're going to be going through. The first word is Wenecwtsin, and literal translation is help yourself. So help yourself. The second word that goes along with that is Wenecwtsin, and what that means is help each other. So help yourself so you can help each other. And I think our goal here is intergenerational transmission of healing, not intergenerational trauma, but transmission of healing, intergenerational healing. And it can be done in generations, because there's in 3 generations, from my mom to myself to my children and grandchildren, it's 4 generations, we've changed the narrative. And that's what we are. We're that connection to the past and the present. We're the right now and how we do it. So.
Because I think a big part of healing, if we're brave enough to do it, is to actually understand how our intersections with each other are actually a pathway of healing. If we're brave enough to learn about those intersections.
So, you know, Charlene, when she came into my life in this whole process, I keep telling her, it took courage to do what she did. You know, because when you're looking for who you're connected to, you don't know what to expect. And so out of that has come this vision of this film, so we can tell a story that is relatable to a lot of our people, because you have to remember there are thousands of our children that went through the foster care system. More children are in care of the state right now than there ever was when the residential schools were in operation. So think about that for a minute. The devastation that's happening to the families, what's happening when Charlene was little, what she was removed from and not knowing who she belonged with. It's really fascinating to me, and the courage of this young lady here, you know, to stand up and say, okay, hey. And I've learned since that she's one of those people, you go big or you go home. I'm right alongside her. I'm the same way. Go big or go home, right? So I think we're in a journey that's going to have a ripple effect.
You're welcome to be in circle with us. And in that process, we are healing. Trust me in that.
You're a part of our story now, quite honestly. So.
Now is the time to journey forward in that healing process for ourselves, for our families, for our future, for the children.
You're here. You have arrived.
I'm here. I'm home.
Yeah, you are.
Fire in my belly, rising up my spine. Oh, I am alive. We are reawakening, universal life, sweet sound of a heartbeat. I am alive, I am alive. I am alive. Which now way, away, 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 ah. Which now way, away, 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 ah. Which now way, ah. Which now way, ah. Which now way, ah. Way, ah. Fire in my belly, rising up my spine. Oh, I am alive. We are reawakening, universal life, sweet sound of a heartbeat. I am alive, I am alive.